Welcome to another episode of the Body and Mind Sports Show. I'm your host, The Mind, and with me is my co-host, The Body. Body, welcome to the show.
Great to be back.
As always. So today, a few trending topics. We'll be talking about the recently concluded NHL Trade Deadline. Lots of trades, so we're going to lovingly hand-pick the ones we thought were the most important.
A handcrafted selection of moves that made a difference at the trade deadline.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Next, we'll be looking at the NBA, recapping what's going on in the A Association. And our third segment, we're just going to mock stuff.
Yeah, there's no fight of the night this week because we're going tag team on stuff that needs to be put in its place.
And we're going to put the upcoming Underwear Olympics into its place.
Known as the NFL Draft Combine.
There's some MLB teams who need to be put in their place. So yeah, we got all that coming. And finally, as always, we'll have our epic and suck of the week. Moment we thought was epic, moment we thought sucked over the last week. So, let's start with the good old NHL Trade Deadline. Lots of trades. What was it? Like you said, like 37 players traded or whatever.
Oh, let's look up the insane numbers here.
And it was like what, 5 first-round picks?
5 first-round picks. I'm going to look up the complete,
which
the
I think
complete
is
package
also
of draft picks.
Which also I think is a record.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that is a record.
So yeah, more and more every year, teams are just like giving away first-round picks like candy, which is extra surprising, given that nowadays with the salary cap, really building through the draft is crucial for any team that wants to compete and stay competitive. So it's quite surprising that so many teams are just giving away high draft picks like this to make their push for the Stanley Cup run.
Though, in my opinion, some of the teams that made the moves of draft picks, it made sense because the Jets are one of them, and they usually have prospects and draft picks. Las Vegas has an assortment of draft picks, and for Tampa Bay, they're so close. It made sense to me. So there's teams I often question with the draft picks being traded, but I think these 3 teams are right to do it. Here's a breakdown of Deadline Day.
Okay.
That saw 16 deals involving 31 players, 18 draft picks swapped, and $30.8 million in salaries exchanged.
Not bad. Not bad. That's like a weekend in Vegas for some people.
Unless you're one of the 4 baseball teams they're going to slag later.
Ooh.
And that might be 2 seasons worth of spending.
Oh, they'll be slagged. So yeah, a lot of teams, but we'll go over some of these trades, and yeah, we'll recap what we think. So let's look at some of these trades. Let's start with kind of a big one that kind of kicked off the whole weekend and got everybody's juices flowing. And that was the defending, reigning, undisputed, undefeated Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins trading for Derek Brassard from the suddenly tanking Ottawa Senators. So Brassard, that was a player that a whole whackload of teams were actually looking to get their grubby paws on. And Pittsburgh managed to do this strange 3-team deal where Brassard was actually technically traded from Ottawa to Las Vegas. Las Vegas then traded him to the Penguins, and Las Vegas basically ate some of Brassard's salary. So that's how the Penguins were able to keep him under the salary cap. So for their troubles, the Penguins gave the Golden Knights Ryan Reeves. So basically a good solid enforcer, goon type player.
Who's a bigger winner in this deal, the Penguins or Brassard just for getting out of Ottawa?
Well, that's a goofy thing. The fire sale is definitely on in Ottawa. So, I mean, Ottawa gets a first-round pick this year, third-round pick next year, and a couple of good players, Ian Cole and Philip Gustafsson. Ottawa later traded away Ian Cole, so he wasn't a Senator for very long. Whereas Penguins, yeah, everybody figured that, yeah, they wanted to have that third-line center to follow Crosby and Malkin. So, yeah, they got Brassard, got the guy they wanted, and, yeah, a lot of people. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, if Brassard plays like everybody thinks he will, then, yeah, the Penguins are going to be pretty happy here. And in truth, I mean, they gave away, giving away a defenseman, that's never a good idea going into the playoffs. So I think Ottawa did okay.
But Pittsburgh did well with a decimated defensive group last year, so
yeah, it's true.
In the playoffs, so maybe they feel they have the depth to overcome this trade.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Usually people want more and more defensemen, but yeah, Pittsburgh proved that you don't need defensemen. You just need
Crosby and Malkin and a goalie.
Need a whole whackload of forwards. Done. They'll just win 7-6 every night. But Ottawa wasn't done. They kept the madness going, as we'll see later. But Boston, they were next to a big deal. They decided that they needed to acquire Rick Nash, and you are not pleased.
I'm disgusted. Just about threw my phone. Yeah, this is great. Nash has no more than 5 goals in a single playoff season. 33 years old, 20 points in 60 games this year.
Yep.
And the Bruins decided not just to go get him, but to grossly overpay for him.
Yeah, they gave away two draft picks, including
a first rounder.
And then players Spooner, Bolesky, and Lindgren. And I know some people have made the point that I guess part of this trade was a salary dump by the Bruins in dumping some of Spooner's salary, who I don't think is overly huge, but
it can't be that big.
Yeah, that was part of the reasoning, was getting rid of some of his, and I guess Bolesky has got like a 4-point-something million contract.
And what, he's in Providence, or he's been at Providence at some point? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was part of it, was a salary dump, but yeah,
it's not like you're taking on a discount project in Nash.
Well, that's the thing. Nash's salary, I think, cap is like $7.8 million or some ungodly amount like that. So you pretty much had to throw away some salary just so you can fit him under your own cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying, what a great trade this is for Boston, but
you've met these people?
Yeah,
who are these idiots?
They're all over radio and television and the newspaper. Pretty much every credible hockey analyst, put the air quotes there,
wow,
has been lauding this trade as a wonderful trade for Boston.
Because his proven success rate in the playoffs is just, it's deniable.
Yeah.
Like literally deniable.
Oh, it's very deniable.
Wow.
I think the Bruins, they basically paid for the Rick Nash of 5 years ago, not the one we have today.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, 18 goals in like 60 games. As Shania Twain once said, that don't impress me much.
No.
But I don't see this having any impact at all. I thought it was I don't know, maybe the Bruins won't miss Spooner, but whatever. But I think Nash is not a free agent, though. Is he? He's still got a contract, I think.
That's a good question.
I think he actually still...
That just may have made this worse.
Yeah, I'm not totally certain, but I mean, if he's a free agent, then okay, basically,
Well, you overpaid for a rental, then either way, it's not good.
That's the thing. I mean, it seems like a lot to give up for somebody like Rick Nash, but yeah, Bruins thought it was going to help them. We'll see.
I don't think there's much to see.
Yeah. As we mentioned there, the Ian Cole that the Senators had received in the Pittsburgh deal, defenseman, he got shipped off to the Blue Jackets basically the very next day. Mm-hmm. Ottawa just in full frontal sell mode. Next deal to look at, another team that is surprisingly doing the selling thing, Chicago. Who would have thought that would happen?
That's a brutal fall from grace.
Yep. Yeah, last year, I mean, they did lose to Nashville 4 straight in the first round, which was...
I thought that was just an aberration at first.
Yeah, I know in last year, going into that series, I actually did pick Nashville to win.
But you wouldn't think a sweep, though, would you?
But never in a sweep, no. I didn't think it was going to be a sweep.
6 games or something?
Yeah, I thought six games, I figured it had to be 6 games, because I figured if they went back to Chicago, it would be death in Game 7. I thought the Predators last year had a shot just because their defense is so phenomenal and they have a good goalie. But yeah, they swept them in 4, and it was easy. Like, it was not even much of a challenge.
It wasn't like 4 overtime games or anything like that.
No, it was not. So yeah, I thought that this is just a one-off for Chicago, but no, this year they've proven that. I guess, after so many Stanley Cup runs, either the team is just tired, or they've had to, rejig their team so much to constantly stay under the cap that they finally.
Well, you're even noticing noticeable drop off with guys like Taves and Seabrook.
Yeah.
You know what, Taves? A few years ago, I made the comparison, not quite the same player, but for old school hockey fans, Taves kind of reminded me a little bit of Brian Trottier in his prime. Maybe not as hard a hitter, but that intense leader, competitor, all-around player.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember about Trottier fell from his prime at a relatively early age. I wonder if it's just that style of play, where is he out and then those long playoff runs. I mean, Messier went longer, but Messier was such a big and fast freak that even when he lost a step, he still had what most people had.
Yeah, makes sense.
So maybe Taves is very similar to Trottier in more ways than I even thought.
Yeah, it makes sense because, Taves is, he is a smaller guy, but he does play that hard-nosed, kind of like in-your-face type of game. So, yeah, it makes sense that he's not shying away from the pounding and
all those long playoff runs to compound it.
Oh, that's the thing. The Blackhawks, they have 3 Stanley Cups in, 6 years?
And then add the Olympic runs and international runs.
Yep.
It's a lot of hockey.
And even the years where they don't win the Stanley Cup, they're going deep into the playoffs. So, yeah, it's been a lot of hockey. And, totally see that, Jonathan Taves probably just tired right now.
Ron Francis is another guy whose offensive productivity kind of dropped off a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Taves, I think, will still be a very good player for years, but valuable. But I think his days as a premier scorer are pretty much done.
Well, the true test will be next year for Chicago to see what happens. If this year, obviously, they're not making the playoffs, and with a couple of trades they made today or yesterday, trading away Ryan Hartman forward to the Predators, and also Tommy Wingles, great name.
Love that. Wingles!
Tommy Wingles, every year that guy gets traded at the trade deadline. Every single season. It is incredible. Like, every team wants this guy. Like, I think he's been with Pittsburgh. He's been with, Toronto. He's been with San Jose.
Is he the new Antoine Vermette?
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is your daddy's Antoine Vermette.
Dad could keep his Antoine Vermette.
Yeah, it's a good old Tommy. He actually went to your Boston Bruins. And they gave him a conditional 5th-round pick. So I guess if the Bruins win, then that 5th-round pick probably becomes like a 4th-round pick. So there you go. But but the Hawks...
Oh, don't worry about the Bruins winning. We have Rick Nash to help let us down now.
Well, there is that. But that's the big surprising thing is not so much some of these deals, but just the fact that Chicago that's doing the selling. Talk about, shift in power, But hey, if you're a Blackhawks fan, you've had a pretty nice decade.
The circle of life.
Oh, championship runs. Speaking of circle of life, how about the suddenly streaking Winnipeg Jets?
Hey.
They decided to get on this trade deadline fun.
Paul Stastny, Kevin Cheveldayoff, a winner in life.
Exactly.
Kevin Cheveldayoff, finally a participant in life.
Yeah.
Welcome out of the woods, Mr. Cheveldayoff.
No kidding. And he didn't mess around either. He
came out of the woods firing.
Yeah, firing with all 8 cylinders. Getting Paul Stastny, which no one was even talking about. Not one single hockey analyst had even mentioned this name. Because everyone figured, well, the Blues, they're in a playoff spot. Why would they make any trade like this?
Actually, it's kind of interesting. Paul Stastny, no one said a thing about. He's in Winnipeg. Everyone's pegging Mike Green. He's still in Detroit today.
Yeah, go figure, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it looks like the Blues, they're on like a 6-game losing streak. And oddly enough, the Jets might have helped their own cause in getting Stastny, because on Friday night, they went into St. Louis and beat them 4-0. So that probably put the final nail in that Blues coffin. They figured, okay, enough of that. Mm-hmm. Time to start getting rid of people. So yeah, Stastny is going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. The Jets gave up a first-round pick, fourth-round pick, and a prospect, Eric Foley.
Yeah, usually I'd consider that overpaying, but the Jets are so established with prospects and draft picks that in this case it's worth it.
I guess it's one of those cases that, I mean, they have been on such a roll that...
And they are a legit contender.
Yeah, people are actually talking about them contender. So, hey, if you actually that close, why not? You might as well go for it. Mm-hmm. You don't get many shots at going for the Stanley Cup.
No.
Another team who's making a play for the Stanley Cup is the San Jose Sharks.
They might have topped or bottomed the Rick Nash trade as they went out and acquired the original cult of personality of Evander Kane.
So, did they win the Kane sweepstakes?
Or did they lose the Kane sweepstakes?
Exactly. So, yeah.
I'm going to go with lost.
Well, I agree. I mean, they gave away a couple of picks. Again, another conditional first-round pick and a fourth round, and then some prospect. So, I mean, I've seen a few people seem to be divided on this deal. Some people think it was a brilliant move by Doug Wilson in San Jose for getting, a top goal scorer for very little.
Yeah, he might not be around long enough to rock the boat there, too.
That's the thinking, that he is a unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. So if any madness happens with him and the Sharks, then they only have to put up with him for another, 2-3 months, and that's the end of that.
And as bad as judgment is, and as much of an idiot as he is, maybe stays on the straight and narrow heading into free agency. I don't know, I don't like the deal, but just bringing it up now, maybe there is a point for San Jose, but I'm still a little reluctant to call it a win for them.
Well, I found it interesting that basically, a month or so ago, Buffalo's had Kane on the trade block for the entire season. Mm-hmm. And before, they were asking for like a first-round pick and a top prospect and a roster player and whatever. It just went on and on. They wanted all this stuff, and in the end, they ended up being satisfied for basically a late first-round pick.
Well, if the day would have gone any longer, they would have taken San Jose's garbage and jock straps.
Probably. I find it curious that not one single top team made a play for Evander Kane. So all the teams, so you're talking about, Vegas, Winnipeg, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Tampa, none of these teams showed any interest in Kane.
Well, Winnipeg's already previously got rid of him. I think the other teams have proven partially why they're top teams by wanting nothing to do with this guy.
Yeah. They showed that, they got a good thing going, and they're not willing to risk their chemistry by bringing this guy in, even if it is for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So for the Sharks, it's an interesting move. For them, I can see why they did it, because they're a bubble team. Mm-hmm. They're not a contender, but obviously they're swinging for the fences, figuring that
you'd like to get in the playoffs, anyways.
Yeah, and figuring that, hey, who knows, if this guy behaves himself, maybe we can make a good run. If he doesn't, then we're probably no worse off than we were before.
Could be a point there.
So it's an interesting move.
I maybe swayed a little bit on that one.
That's
my original thought.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that turns out. Speaking of the Golden Knights there, they got in on the action, getting from the Detroit Red Wings, Thomas Tatar.
Great move, and especially before the deadline, because I know there are some people out there, actually, some of them thought they might be buying, some of them thought they might be selling. It's like, no, they're not going to sell. But some people actually thought they might, and I thought that was just absurd to think that. Mm-hmm. Oh, James Neal's in the last year of his contract, and you're this close and you're going to get rid of him? I thought that was just absurd thinking. But as discussed with the Rick Nash trade earlier, there's no shortage of absurd thinking out there.
Well, it's true. It's always the craziest thing when you think about it, that in the NHL, when a player is at the end in his last year of his contract, every single hockey analyst out there and most fans will be like, oh, you got to trade him at the deadline. You got to get something for him. You can't just let him go for free.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, meanwhile, in a league like the NFL, or football in general, a player could be in his last year of his contract. Nobody talks about that.
No.
Nobody cares. Oh, yeah, who cares? If he walks, whatever. It's like, but if we need him to make the playoffs and make a run, then we're going to keep him.
Well, because you and I have talked about this before, and I don't think enough teams attack it like this. I don't think we've talked about it on the show. Instead of we have to trade the guy, just take the money that would have been allotted for him if you're not going to re-sign him, and go get a couple. You might not get the player to replace him, but you might get a couple of decent depth players and make yourself a deeper team.
Yeah, and I always thought that, if you got a good thing going and you got a good player that, is going to help your team win, regardless if he's on the last year of his contract, like if you're going to be in the playoffs and you think you've got a shot at making some noise if you keep this guy.
That's what you built the team for.
Then keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, if he walks, but I think the fact that you establish a winning culture, that in itself is already worth money.
No, I fully agree.
Yeah. So the idea that you have to trade away players, like, no.
Plus, I think it's even harder to lure players later when you show you have a track record of just dumping players like that.
Yeah, exactly. So winning breeds more winning. It's like money. You need money to make money. That sort of idea. Tatar.
Great move for Nashville, for Vegas. Like you mentioned before the show, he fits in perfectly with them.
Yeah, he's practically a carbon copy of every other player they have.
He fits in extremely well with the team chemistry.
And
plug him in anywhere.
Speaking of chemistry, we saved the biggest for last, the Ryan McDonagh trade from the New York Strangers all the way over to Tampa Bay.
Awesome deal for Tampa. Another one of those where you give away draft picks, but you're so close. You have a top-notch defenseman, a leader, and you can reunite him with Dan Girardi. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, and the Lightning, I mean, they're already a stacked team.
You just got more stacked. And probably helped your chemistry if he even could help it anymore.
You would think so.
Because McDonagh has character, so it's not a guy's... Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, you would think so. A guy who's been a captain before, so he's obviously, a good guy in the room. So you'd figure this is just a win-win.
More playoff experience. He's made a run to the Cup Finals.
Yeah, that always helps. And after playing in original 6 teams like Montreal and the Rangers, I don't think pressure will be an issue for him.
No, and if anything, this team might be more dangerous than ever. Because they have so many guys who've made cup runs. But I don't know if they have anyone who's won cups. So you have guys with playoff experience, but they all have that nagging hunger to win the cup, and that's a dangerous combination for everyone else.
They want it. I heard somebody today actually compare the Lightning, saying that they're the NHL's Golden State Warriors now. So that was actually pretty good. Because, they are a pretty stacked team, top to bottom.
About as stacked a team as I've seen in a long time, especially in the salary cap era.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could potentially, devastate them is if they lost their starting goalie. They have, he's not technically a rookie, but he might as well be. That's the only thing that could muck their world if they lost that, because I don't even know who Tampa's backup goalie is right now. I couldn't even tell you. I wonder if I can find out.
See the name come up once in a while, and I believe he has a losing record.
Because I didn't see them make a trade for
any goaltending depth.
Anybody out there? So they got Vasilevsky is their starter, but behind him they have Louis Domingue and Peter Budaj.
I didn't know Budaj was there, but I know Domingue still have a losing record?
Probably, because wasn't he with Arizona?
Oh, that's right.
Isn't that where he was?
That'd be a big contributing factor.
Years and years and decades. So really, so he was the Coyotes, Louis Domingue. So he has not experienced success. And Peter Budaj, he's currently injured, and he's been kind of a journeyman goalie now. So really, that's the one issue that I see with Tampa Bay is if they lose Vasilevsky.
I'd agree with that.
So we'll see. But other than that, they look pretty crushing outside of that. So big surprise, Erik Karlsson. He's still with Ottawa.
Yeah, he's a loser on the day. He's stuck there. Good, serves him right.
Surprisingly, his name all of a sudden gained crazy amounts of traction going into the trade deadline, where before, like, I don't know, a month earlier, I don't think anyone would have conceived this was even possible, that the franchise player like that would actually even be traded.
And now he's talking about wanting to stay in Ottawa.
Yeah, I think he's doing a bit of
PR control.
damage control there from his comments that he made last summer about when he becomes a free agent that he's not going to take a hometown discount.
Yeah, if I'm Ottawa, I'm looking to trade him in the summer.
Yeah, there's that thought out there that it's, I don't know, I think people 50 whether Ottawa re-signs him or trades him away by the entry draft. Yeah.
I just have this weird gut feeling they're going to regret it if they re-sign him.
For me, I just with his injury that he is recovering from, mentioned before, it's like it was a horrifying foot injury, and the fact that they cut away part of his ankle. Mm-hmm. I just have a whole lot of concern if he was on my team that somebody could possibly recover from that devastating an injury where you're literally cutting away, part of someone's foot. Or not get
hurt again, because it's going to be a long-term contract he's signing.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's going to be a massive deal.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, so, I couldn't do it.
I mean, for as insanely talented as he has been, because he has been, like, he's outscored most forwards his entire career. Like this is literally an old school defenseman that's literally scoring a point a game, which just do not exist anymore. Getting 70, 80 points every year, like, is unbelievable. He's always Ottawa's top scorer, and he's a freaking defenseman. So, I mean, the talent is insanely there, but my concern, I think our concern, is definitely that foot injury. I just wouldn't want to risk it.
No.
So I'd rather do the Bill Belichick thing. Trade him soon if you must.
You're better getting rid of him a year early than a year late, or in this case, several years late, because once you sign that contract, you're saddled if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. So kind of like the theme for this year's trade deadline, it just seemed like the rich teams just got richer.
Yes.
It didn't seem to be any team that kind of like...
Though Chicago and the Rangers both started their rebuild. And the Rangers probably more aggressively in Chicago. So they still accomplished what they wanted.
Yeah, true enough. So yes, that'll be interesting to watch. For next year, I would expect the Rangers to take a significant downturn and have kind of like a struggle rebuild type of season, which I think everybody there is prepared for.
Yeah, when you're prepared for it, I don't think it's so bad. It still kind of sucks, but you're prepared for it. But when you're old and slow, then it sucks.
Well, that's where Chicago next season will be interesting, because they've made some moves to get rid of some players, but they still got their core is still there.
They kind of seem like they're in no man's land, whether they want to keep the core or whether they want to rebuild. That's the impression I get.
Well, I think...
I don't know if they know which direction they want to go for sure yet.
Well, I don't think Chicago is quite ready to give up on this dynasty they've built. So I have a feeling they're going to make one more run next year with the same core group of players and see if this crazy season was just,
an apparition.
Just an apparition, the result of just a team that's just too tired from playing just way too many hockey games and too beaten up. So maybe a summer of rest, relaxation.
And they'll have the whole summer this year for once.
Whole summer, yeah, exactly. No parades, no crazy world tours, no visits to the White House, like nothing.
Does anybody visit the White House anymore?
Assuming, I don't think the White House is inviting anyone anymore. So that's it.
Is everyone in the White House packing a gun yet?
Ooh, cha-ching.
Boom!
Look out. So that is our review of the NHL 2018 NHL Trade Deadline. Next, how about we go to the court, the hard court, and check out some NBA action.
Yeah, I'd say there's like about 3 teams of note here I've noticed.
All right. Who you got?
Since the All-Star break, because it's a very small sample size since their All-Star break.
3 games?
Yeah, small sample size. So I'd say Boston needed the All-Star break. They're really sliding before that. They've come back around. Cleveland, that was white hot, now looks kind of average again.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the other team of joy I was mentioning?
Washington.
Washington looks better without John Wall, before and after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
9-3 without him.
How messed up is that?
Oh.
He's like supposed to be their leading scorer and their leading man, but doing better without him.
Seems more like their leading albatross.
Yeah, it's not. I'm sure his agent is probably getting nervous right now.
I would think so.
So it's interesting that in the Eastern Conference, all those teams actually, all the playoff teams, all 8 playoff teams right now, they all have winning records over the last 10 games, with the exception of Miami. And so, as you mentioned, that Cleveland they're getting a bit cold, but still 6-4 in the last 10. And everyone else, except for Miami, they have a winning record. On the Eastern Conference, or the Western Conference, is not quite as dominating a last 10. You have Houston, who's been doing pretty good.
They're rolling.
Or are they ever 10-0? They have a 13-game winning streak going right now. So Houston doing the job, and technically in first place in the Western Conference, because they have one less loss than Golden State. But other than that, you have teams like San Antonio. They've been struggling. OKC, I think we were mentioning before, they're kind of struggling right now.
Minnesota's without Jimmy Butler right now.
Yeah.
And they're still not playing good fourth quarter defense.
Yeah. Portland, they're kind of a weird team. I mean, they're in a playoff spot and 6th place in the West, but they're not a team I really hear about too much.
No, same with Utah. Utah was coming around before the break.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't think they have pieces to come around, but...
Yeah, Utah has been doing well. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. So they are making a run for it, but who knows? Utah really right now, they're only 2 wins out of a playoff spot.
I think between 5 and 10 that I heard today, and we're doing the show on a Tuesday, I believe games are between 5th and 10th seed. No,
there's 3 wins.
3 wins. It's like
wins.
something minute. Yeah, between the 5th and 10th seeds.
Yeah, between 5 and 10, yeah, it's 3 wins. That's what's separating them right now.
That's insane.
Yeah, but meanwhile, on the other end of the scale, we have good old Memphis and Phoenix, both 0-10 in their last 10. The way this is going, the Phoenix Suns are definitely, they're basically like a bad junior high school team right now. And it looks like they're just getting worse each week.
Because, there's certainly, there 6 or 7 teams in the league that have tanked already?
Yeah, they're tanking. I don't know if this is tanking or if this is just incompetent management of this club.
By the way, I don't remember the exact story. I'll try to remember as well as I can. I heard this yesterday.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls, speaking of tanking, I can't remember where they're going. I gotta look at their schedule, see if it comes to mind. I heard this on a show.
Yeah.
They had a flight somewhere, and Markkanen, their outstanding rookie and probably their best player this year, apparently for whatever reason missed a flight somehow. I don't know if he got separated from someone or what happened. So anyways, let's see if I can find that. I don't know if it's the flight to Charlotte today or if it was like for another game or something.
Okay.
This is pretty recent anyways.
So what happened to this poor fool?
So anyways, he was scheduled. There was another flight scheduled 20 minutes later. He could have made it behind the team.
Okay.
And the team said, yeah, no, don't worry. Don't worry about making the flight. Best player on the team. If that doesn't scream tank, nothing screams tank.
Holy mother.
No, don't show up. We might win.
God.
We may win. You just stay home here.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, the flight 20 minutes later would have gone there. No, don't bother. Don't even bother. Just stay here.
So you take the one that's 2 hours late.
No, don't even bother taking that. Just stay here.
Oh,
we'll be back.
We'll pick you up on the way back. Oh, my Lord.
That's just awesome.
That is terrible. Tank thy name is Chicago. And yeah, so far, well, the problem with Chicago is for all of their tanking attempts, they still have to underperform Brooklyn, Orlando, and Atlanta in the East if they want to finish dead last. And in the West, they have tons of contenders they have to go past. They have to go past Dallas, Memphis, Sacramento, and Phoenix.
And Cuban, last. The owner has even admitted to tanking in Dallas.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he got fined. Oh my Lord, was it $600,000?
Well, that's not hurting his feelings.
I don't know how much money that guy makes, but he better be making scandalous amounts because he pays like millions of dollars every year in NBA fines. Because I don't know if he's still doing it, but I know for years he would always match the fine and give it to charity whenever he got fined by the NBA. So I don't know if he's still doing that.
Well, I think he pays his employees a minimum wage across the board, so he gets away with it. Because in his quote before years ago, his philosophy is he likes to keep his employees hungry.
Oh, yeah?
Now, his interpretation, his interpretation allegedly is supposed to be hungry to be successful. But let's take it for what it is. No, hungry. Like, get me a meal because I'm making minimum wage here.
Starving. Oh my goodness!
Likes to keep his employees hungry.
Is that even a fight of the night? Like Mark Cuban, a force for good or evil? I say evil.
No, because I'm on the same page with you as evil.
Evil. There, we agree. Yeah. Mark Cuban, he's a force for evil.
I don't know if that's all or the bulk, but I know there's a good percentage, if not all of them. Like, I don't know if it's a certain industry or all of them. He likes the minimum wage.
That is brutal, and I think minimum wage in the United States like $5 an hour or some horrible amount. That is definitely keeping him hungry. I'm assuming he must have like stock in Kraft Dinner or something. That
would be great. That would be a great financial move on his part.
Yeah, it's like he pays the minimum wage and he gets it right back. With poor employees, it's all they can afford to eat.
Cases of Kraft Dinner. That and your all-time favorite Rahmenn Noodles.
Oh yes, good old Rahmenn Noodles.
No nutritional value.
Actually, wait. Yeah, I take offense to this. You cannot put Rahmenn Noodles and Kraft Dinner in the same category, because Kraft Dinner I consider to be food.
Oh no, I'd agree with you.
Rahmenn Noodles is not food. That's plastic.
Yeah.
People should not eat that.
But it's cheaper, and some people are in such bad shape.
It is cheap.
Especially if they're working for Mark Cuban, perhaps.
That's true, but it's not food.
No.
Like, at the very least, like, even if it's like cheap food, you should at least eat actual food. Rahmenn Noodles is like plastic, made out of plastic. and then they give you a plastic bag of plastic sauce. Like, you're eating plastic. Like, I think it'd be more healthier if you just bought a tub of like dollar store margarine and just ate that.
Actually, if someone should just drop you in the middle of the ocean where all that plastic is, and you should just start munching on that.
Rahmenn noodles. People out there, do not eat ramen noodles, whatever you do. And for the ramen noodle factory company, shame on you.
Double shame.
Double shame. So, with that noodle recap, that's also the NBA recap. And to our second last segment, we're mocking some stuff.
Oh, the NFL Draft Combine, a.k.a. the Underwear Olympics?
The Underwear Olympics. It's coming up. Very exciting, isn't it?
I think I watched about 2 minutes last year when I stopped flicking channels when I was nothing on, and I just felt like part of me was dying inside. Just dying inside. And I'm a pretty diehard football fan, but I was just dying on the inside. It was like, like, there's got to be an infomercial or something I can watch right now, because I wasn't I think I was going somewhere, so I wasn't going to be home long enough to watch Netflix or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there had to be an infomercial or something on it, just anything.
Yep.
It was just like a slow, agonizing death from the inside.
Yeah, I feel your pain, because last year I did watch some of the NFL Combine.
Yeah, it's the first time in years for me, and it'll be the last time. The only thing I like is Run, Rich, Run. We'll get to that in a bit.
Now, Run, Rich, Run, now that's good. But the Combine, I was surprised that usually I thought that the NFL could make practically anything seem exciting.
Oh, not the Combine.
But the Combine, my goodness gracious, I'm watching it, and they're in like this stadium or whatever, and it's deathly quiet.
In Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, so you're in this giant stadium, and there's nobody there except for like the coaches and scouts, whatever, and then like reporters. So it was like insanely quiet. It seemed like one of those like soccer games that were like, it was like a closed door game because the home team's fans were too rowdy, so they forbid anyone from attending the match. And that's what this sounded like, this NFL Combine. So you could actually hear all the different like scouts and players just talking to each other, just like normal talk.
Yeah, it's just disturbing.
Well, someone is trying to do their 200 push-ups or whatever.
It's just disturbing even thinking about it.
That was just it was very bizarre because it was so quiet. And yeah, literally just watching these guys running 40-yard dashes and then
jumping
to try to touch
vertical.
Touch stuff, and then they have to jump forward to touch other stuff.
What's all the game film for, man?
So yeah, it's
game film. I want to see what he does in a game, not running down the sideline, not jumping at something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me?
Yep, Underwear Olympics, otherwise known as the NFL Combine, coming to a TV near you soon.
Oh my God.
However, we do have the Rich Eisen 40-yard dash.
This I like, Run, Rich, Run for St. Jude. This is A, the most entertaining part of the Combine, and B, I think for a great cause.
The best part is that he always does this 40-yard dash in his suit.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't take off the suit.
Nope,
he's still wearing a suit. The only thing he does is he takes off his fancy shoes for a pair of sneakers.
He doesn't even take off the jacket.
No, he doesn't take off the jacket. He's got his full NFL network gear on. And then he just makes his mad dash down the field. And my most favoriteest part is when they will superimpose one of the offensive linemen at the Combine over top of his run and see how the two do, and the lineman always beats him every year.
But kudos to Rich Eisen for that. It's awesome.
Rich Eisen is a demon reporter. He's phenomenal. Love watching him. Love listening to him. And yes, 40-yard dash.
Epic.
That is like my epic of the year every year. So yeah. Other things we need to mock. Major League Baseball. We have cheap teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Some teams
that won't even go and spend on other players, won't even spend to keep their own players year after year.
They will not. So yeah, we have 4 teams. Can you name them?
Actually, we did this earlier, and I did name them.
I dare you to name them.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Jesus, surprise.
Oh, yes. Florida Marlins. Actually, you had to remind me of the Miami Marlins or whatever they are this month.
More surprise.
The Oakland A's.
Oh, big surprise there.
And the Tampa Bay Rays.
Who didn't see that coming?
Oh, no kidding. I'm surprised you even found a mailing address to subpoena them.
Yeah, no kidding. Surprised they actually have a mailbox. Figured they would just take that out because the old one would have rusted, and I wouldn't have thought they'd replaced it with anything.
I agree, yeah.
So, yeah, if you haven't heard, Major League Baseball Players Association, they filed a grievance against those 4 teams for failing to spend the revenue-sharing money they get in an effort to improve performance. So, as it turns out, there is this extremely vague statement in the collective bargaining agreement that says all teams that receive revenue-sharing money must make an attempt to improve their team.
Well, I think it's pretty blatant with these 4. That's a no.
And that's pretty much all it says. So there's no actual thing that says, oh, you got to spend, 30, 40, 50% of
Like
your revenue.
there should be a salary cap floor or something, yeah.
Yeah, there's no actual hard numbers or anything that they have to hit.
But even with this vague, these 4 teams should be guilty as sin.
Well, I've railed against Nutting there in Pittsburgh. He is a disgusting, despicable scumbag slime owner that is sickening and gives a bad name to skinflints everywhere.
You dislike him.
I do dislike him.
I don't blame him.
He has taken one of the oldest and proudest franchises in North American sports, and he's turned them into a laughing stock. So yeah, I have no love whatsoever for him, despite the fact that I did not disagree with the moves they made, letting McCutcheon and Garrett Cole go. Garrett Cole, very angry with him. And
he's going to have a breakout year in Houston.
And I did not believe that he had anything left in him, so I was like...
He's going to have a breakout year in Houston.
Yeah? Well, we'll see. I say good riddance to him.
He wasn't going to do it in Pittsburgh, but Houston with all the video scouting they do, yeah.
Well, let's see what they do. With McCutcheon, I still think he's got another, year or two to go.
Thanks to him and Evan Longoria, I got the Giants at 29-1 to win the World Series.
Yep. But I am happy that Andrew McCutcheon went to the Giants, because I do like the Giants. I'm very happy to see that they'll benefit from his bat. But regardless, the Pirates, not just so much this year, but for pretty much their entire existence, and Robert Nutting took the team over 20 years ago.
He's even been going even before he took the team over.
Yeah, he's never made any attempt at all to spend any money on this team, and he's constantly crying poverty, which I find comical from all 4 of these teams, that they're all crying poverty, even though they're getting $100 million a year in revenue sharing. It's so they're not losing money. Every team is making scandalous amounts of money.
Well, in Tampa, no one shows up, but no one shows up because they don't keep anyone.
Yeah.
And Florida, no one shows up because they're sick and tired of the fire sales. Yet another one.
Well, that's all they do with every year. You can call them the Florida Marlins, you can call them the Miami Marlins, but their whole history, they've always done the same thing.
Oakland, smaller market, the stadium situation's crap, but having said that, I wonder if they just underspend just to maximize the whole bad stadium.
Well, it's just to put in their pocket is what it is. Yeah, they got the crummy stadium in Oakland there. It's the oldest stadium.
But still, the way they spend it or don't spend it, still, they're not that bad off that they're spending that little. If you're that bad off, fold the team.
Let's put it this way: you're getting hundreds of millions of dollars. They're making tens of millions of dollars every year in profit.
Yeah, they could field a much better team.
They're not spending a whole lot of money on stadium maintenance.
No,
this is not an issue in Oakland. Maintaining that toilet bowl is not costing them a lot of money every year.
No.
So no surprise that these 4 teams have been singled out by the Players Association. I'm surprised that baseball doesn't have a floor. They have a ceiling, I know that, but even that's a soft ceiling because you can go over it.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to pay scandalous amounts of penalty money.
Yes, which is where these teams are profiting from.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, big time. So yeah, Pirates, Marlins, Rays, and A's. Shame.
Double shame. Again.
We've mocked a couple of things. That takes us to our very last segment, the Epic and Suck. Moment we both thought was epic this week, and the moment we think sucks. So, buddy,
Epic.
Take it away.
Yeah, Epic and Lake are on similar themes. I think Epic, just right now, if you're a professional wrestling fan, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, excuse me, an awesome time right now. New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's the Bullet Club, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega storyline. Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, I can't remember the name. how to pronounce it, but
call him Bob.
Yeah, Bob have renowned as the Golden Lovers, who I've never seen their initial run. But if you see highlights on YouTube, just an amazing tag team. And apparently on the next tour in the States in Long Beach, the Young Bucks will be facing the Golden Lovers in what should be an absolutely phenomenal tag team match. Plus the Cody Omega feud should be percolating more. You've got the Road to WrestleMania going. Mm-hmm. Along with the Road to WrestleMania, you know there's going to be another awesome NXT takeover the night before. So, I mean, just right now, a great time to be a sports entertainment fan.
So on this show, we call it wrestling.
Yes.
Not sports center or whatever.
You know what? I stand corrected because I'm more of a wrestling. I hate
wrestling.
Wrestling.
Vince McMahon wants to call it that. It's his problem.
He could choke on it.
Exactly. I'm choke on it. It's pro
Which
wrestling.
goes back to one of the reasons he was a force for evil.
Yeah, he's a force for evil.
Force for evil.
Evil.
My epic.
And then don't forget, even for more wrestling goodness, that we also have pretty much on TV every week. We also got Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. We got NXT. We also have Impact. And then if you have like the Fight Network, then there's like other leagues. There's like Canadian Wrestling League. There's a Scottish Wrestling League.
I have the Fight Network.
Insane Wrestling there from Scotland.
I've been watching a lot of those shows lately. I do in ebbs and flows. At times I catch them, at times I don't. My epic suck is wrestling related.
Aha. It's
actually a great idea, but I think it's like 4 years past its time. The possibility of a John Cena Undertaker wrestling match at WrestleMania. The last 4 Undertaker matches at WrestleMania have been kind of brutal to watch. Great idea, I think 4 or 5 years late. Kind of like the Cleveland Cavaliers roster at the beginning of the year.
What'd you call it?
The 2010 All-Star Reunion Tour? Yeah. How'd that work out?
Yeah. Your bold, fearless forecast proved 100% correct.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, a comment on the Cena Undertaker. It is too bad. I wish it was 5 years earlier. That would have been fun. That's kind of like a Floyd Mayweather type of fight. It's like, yeah, this would have been a good fight 5 years ago.
Yes.
But I will say, when I saw John Cena on Monday Night Raw make that announcement, when he said, my road to WrestleMania is to take on The Undertaker, I did get excited. So yeah, you're right. The Undertaker's matches have been pretty weak. But maybe it will be a silly match. But I am excited for it if they do it.
It'd be nice if it exceeds expectations if it happens.
Yeah, but right now your expectations are low.
Which might be a good thing going in.
That's true. You can't be disappointed.
No, because I'm already there.
Shoot for the dirt, kids, and you'll never miss.
Once it kicks back in your face, you poke out an eye.
Cha-ching. Oh, look out. So, my epic and suck, also sticking with the wrestling theme. So, my epic was actually this weekend's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. 2018 Elimination Chamber, which
AKA the Braun Strowman Show?
The Braun Strowman Show, exactly. It also featured the very first time the ladies got into the chamber and bruised and battered each other. So, yeah, the women wrestlers getting their fair share of setting some records this year. First, we had the all-women's Royal Rumble. Now we got the all-women's Elimination Chamber match. Mm-hmm. It was a great, fun match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had, in the women's match, we had Mandy Rose, Sasha Banks, Sonya Deville, Mickie James, Mickie, Bayley, and current champ Alexa Bliss.
You just lose self-control there. It's awesome.
Oh, Mickie James never disappoints. The ass forgives all. Absolutely phenomenal. And
just face palming over here, man. Just absolutely face palming. The ass forgives all.
She was phenomenal. The match actually started with Sonya Deville taking on Bayley all by her lonesome, and then her tag team partner came in. But yeah, it was a fun match. But in the end, Alexa Bliss won, kept her title, and then took a nice shot at the crowd. And the men in Elimination Chamber, the Braun Strowman show.
Didn't eliminate everyone until he got eliminated at the end?
Until Roman Reigns managed to eliminate him. And I think after about 3 Superman punches, another 3 spears, and I think at one point he threw a pot on him. He pretty much did everything he could. The only thing he didn't do is throw the whole elimination
chamber
itself on him. I think that would have been next. But Roman Reigns, wins the chamber, so he's going to WrestleMania to take on Brock Lesnar,
who is rumored to be going back to UFC again soon, maybe.
Oh, nice, because his suspension is being lifted. So that was my epic of the week. Was just the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. It was great fun, had by all. Oddly enough, though, my suck of the week actually comes from a match inside self-same Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. The Woken Matt and Bray Wyatt rivalry.
Yeah. Oh, I'll let you go continue on with something in this scene.
Yeah, this rivalry is doing nothing for me here. Like, nothing whatsoever. Woken Matt, he actually annoys me more than anything. Basically just coming out and just maniacally laughing, and basically I almost think his whole point of being out there is to show off his nice pearly white teeth. Because his matches have not been interesting. This whole thing with him and Bray trying to do mind games on each other, I'm just not getting it. Bray Wyatt, unfortunately for him, I think he's such a, underused talent. I think he's like a good wrestler.
And he can't be taken seriously anymore because he loses just about every feud.
That's the problem. He's constantly losing, which makes no sense. He's a good wrestler. He's a gigantic human being. And he's got the mind games, and he's good on the mic. Mm-hmm. Like, you'd figure this is the prototypical, champ here. Somebody to be at the top.
Or even if he's not a champ, like that secondary heel who's like the just before the main event in the intense feud.
Yeah.
Where you don't need a title because the feud's so personally intense.
Yeah.
But it's become kind of like a bad comedic fodder now.
It has. So, Bray Wyatt's career is really, stalled and is in a bad place. And, I don't like this rivalry. I wish it would go away. And I hope that's where it's coming. I hope that Woken Matt go back to the Hardy Boys, when Jeff comes back. And Bray, get away from this. Go do your own thing.
Well, when the Hardys first rejoined the WWE there, I'm pretty sure I remember mentioning to you, my big concern is even if they brought back what was Broken Matt at the time, I had a concern that WWE would screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has. It has.
I figured they would completely screw up because they would take control instead of leaving it in his hands.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it has not been... It's not been good.
Oh, it's been even a more epic failure than I expected. And I expected epic failure.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I am hoping for the good of both their careers that this rivalry ends.
No, I think for Matt, I don't know how long their WWE contract is, and I don't know if they're planning on retiring once they cash in or going back on independence or staying there. But if he wants to stay in the business, personally myself, I think he'd be best served to do the Hardy Boys thing, and then once their contract runs out, go do the Broken Matt thing on his own again.
Yeah.
With his vision.
Yeah.
And not the WWE creative team's vision.
That's right. Yeah, bring back the Lake of Reincarnation.
Actually, that should be how he starts it again if he goes back to the Independence or ROH or anything. Emerge from the Lake of Reincarnation.
That's right. Broken Matt.
To wash the stench of this WWE stay off of him.
Yeah, hopefully when Brother Nero gets back, the two of them get back as a tag team. And that would be good because the Raw could actually use some tag team help.
Yes.
Because right now, Cesaro and Sheamus they've rolled over everyone. Mm-hmm. They have no challengers right now. The Raw could use a good tag team, and Hardy Boys can't think much better than them right now.
No.
So, that is our epic and suck of the week. And coincidentally, that's also the end of our show.
Hey, we're done.
We're done. Body, good time as always.
Yes,
Thanks again for another great show.
Great show, mine.
Thank you for listening, and please remember to subscribe and like us. And thanks for listening to another episode of the Body and Mind Sports Show.